Imagine the Florida Everglades, a unique and delicate ecosystem being devoured by a predator without natural checks. Burmese pythons, exotic giants that are literally swallowing the native fauna. Now imagine something even more surprising: the introduction of one of the most powerful predators of the American continent to solve this problem. The jaguar, the largest feline of the Americas, face to face with one of the largest invasive reptiles on the planet. Could this be the definitive solution to restore balance in the Everglades? Burmese pythons represent one of the most serious biological invasions in the history of the United States, since they were identified as an established species in the year 2000. These snakes have devastated native mammal populations. In some areas, sightings of raccoons, opossums, and rabbits have dropped by more than 90%. How did we reach this point? It all began with the exotic pet industry. Thousands of these snakes were imported as pets in the 80s and 90s. When owners realized their little pythons were becoming giants of more than 16 feet and over 110 pounds, many chose the irresponsible solution, releasing them into the wild. What they found in the Everglades was the perfect paradise. No natural predators, an abundance of unsuspecting prey, and a subtropical climates similar to their native habitat in Southeast Asia. The result? An unprecedented population explosion. Burmese pythons reproduce with impressive efficiency. A single female can lay between 12 and 36 eggs at a time. In Asia, predators like king cobras and smaller predators can help control python populations by consuming their young and eggs when possible. Large felines like tigers and leopards may assist in predation of adults, but this is also more occasional. However, in Florida, almost nothing is prepared to face this invader, and this lack of predation control during the egg to juvenile phase, followed by the inability to deal with adults, seems to have drastically increased their population and caused the decline of native animals. Control attempts so far have yielded limited results. Professional hunters, bounty programs, specialized scent dogs. Nothing seems sufficient to curb the invasion. It's in this scenario that a proposal as bold as it is controversial emerges, introducing the jaguar. The jaguar, or Panthera onca, is the third largest feline in the world and the most powerful in the Americas. With a muscular body that can exceed 286 pounds in the most robust specimens, this predator is known for its extraordinary strength and unique hunting technique. A devastating bite to the base of its prey's skull, capable of penetrating even the skull of alligators and the hard shell of turtles. The Everglades could, theoretically, serve as a viable habitat for these felines. With temperatures that vary between 63 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 degrees Fahrenheit, the environment would not be very different from the Brazilian Pantanal, where jaguars thrive in temperatures ranging from 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, rarely falling below 46 degrees Fahrenheit or rising above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Moreover, jaguars are excellent swimmers with a strong preference for habitats near water. In the Brazilian wetlands, they move with ease between islands of vegetation, crossing channels and hunting semi-aquatic prey. The Everglades, with its vast stretches of shallow water and vegetation islands, offers a similar environment. But the big question remains: would jaguars really solve the python problem? To answer this, we need to analyze this predator's natural diet. Studies show that jaguars are extremely adaptable, capable of feeding on more than 85 different prey species. In the Brazilian Pantanal, their preferred victims are capybaras and caimans. In the Brazilian savanna, they frequently prey on giant anteaters and tapirs. In the Caatinga, where jaguars are smaller, their diet consists mainly of small animals like armadillos. And in the Amazon, they are generalists that consume everything from peccaries to arboreal monkeys. There are documented records of jaguars preying on green anacondas, which can grow larger and heavier than Burmese pythons. This demonstrates that, in terms of physical capability, an adult jaguar could certainly subdue even the largest python specimens in Florida. However, predation of snakes appears to be something occasional in the jaguar's diet, not its preference. Whether due to palatability issues or the snake's ability to camouflage efficiently, large felines generally prefer other prey when available. If introduced to the Everglades, jaguars would probably focus their predation on the abundant American alligators, a native species that also exists in large numbers in the region. Additionally, we need to consider the ecological risks of introducing another non-native species into an already fragile ecosystem. Even though jaguars are native to the American continent, they are not part of Florida's historical fauna. Their introduction could trigger new, unpredictable imbalances. There are also social issues to consider. The Everglades are not an isolated environment. They are surrounded by densely populated urban and rural areas. The introduction of a top predator like the jaguar would create inevitable human-feline conflicts. Although this feline is not historically recognized as a man-eater, this can also occur. However, the same cannot be said about cattle. Nearly 1/2 of all Florida agricultural land is involved in cattle production. Florida has 3.2 million acres of pasture land and 1.3 million acres of grazed woodland. 2007. Much of natural Florida remains in the working landscape of Florida's cattle industry. And it's known that in regions of Brazil where cattle production also exists close to wild areas, jaguars can cause losses to producers, mainly by hunting young cattle, which is easier prey than trying to take down large alligators or reactive pythons. So theoretically, jaguar populations that disperse could generate these conflicts with farmers. It's impossible to predict jaguar behavior in a new environment with new prey, so this should be considered. It's important to emphasize that this proposal to introduce jaguars to the Everglades is just a theoretical idea. No action of this kind has been implemented or is being seriously considered by American environmental authorities. Current strategies continue to focus on more conventional methods of population control. Although it's fascinating to explore innovative solutions for complex environmental problems, the deliberate introduction of exotic predators rarely proves to be a solution without complications. Historical cases like the cane toad in Australia remind us of the dangers of trying to correct a biological invasion problem with another species introduction. The case of pythons in the Everglades confronts us with the long-term consequences of human actions on fragile ecosystems, whether through the irresponsible release of exotic animals or well-intentioned but potentially problematic attempts to correct them. So after evaluating all these factors, what do you think? Would introducing jaguars to the Everglades be a viable solution to the Burmese python problem? Or would it just create new ecological problems? Comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Until next time.